Welcome to the third edition of the Pius Pod. I'm Joe McCurdy here, Athletic Director at St. Pius, the 10th Catholic High School in Atlanta. Thank you so much for listening. Today is based upon one event, the University of Chicago taking on Emory in basketball tomorrow. And you might say, what does that have to do with St. Pius? Well, actually a lot, as it turns out. Let me set the scene. First, our host, Mr. Jason Zimmerman, head coach at Emory. He had both children go to Pi High, and whose wife, Tracy, I could not do my job without. Tracy's our administrative assistant in athletics. We've got Misha Jackson, the head coach, women's head coach at Emory. Misha was a 2009 graduate at St. Pius, winner of the state high school basketball title under Stephanie Dunn. Matt Krause, hired prior to this season as one of Jason's assistant coaches here at Emory for the men's team. Matt graduated from SPX in 2014, and he has an incredible story of going from basketball manager to walk-on to scholarship player at the University of Florida. And Liam Mullins, our most recent Golden Lion High School graduate. That was in 2024. He's currently a sophomore basketball player right here at Emory. And as we're talking hoops, I was hoping for a starting five of guests, but in absentia, with us in spirit is Eamonn Kenah. He's still sitting on a plane with the University of Chicago team, as luck would have it. He's going to fly in here later tonight. I'm going to hope to catch up with him later in a one-on-one situation. So, again, thank you guys for taking the time out of a very busy weekend to share your stories. Every one of you has a fantastic story for success, and I know I'll be asking you some questions, but please treat this as a conversation. Hop in anytime you'd like. Feel free to jump in. We're all sharing communal microphone here, so feel free. Jason, let me start with you. First of all, thank you for helping me put this together. This is amazing to sit with you superstars. We're sitting here in Emory's beautiful Woodruff PE Center on the day between games, so it is a busy weekend. Coming off a thrilling overtime, sort of must-win victory. Oh, and look, now 48 hours, you got to play the number one team in the USA, Chicago. How do you handle the responsibility? What tools have you learned over the years to help you battle the pressure to win every game?
Yeah, I think you just kind of wake up and take one day at a time, really, at this time of the year, because in our league, everybody's really good. And as you mentioned, Chicago's ranked number one this week. We were ranked number one last week until they beat us. And Wash U we beat last night is number 20, but the rankings really don't matter as much as all the teams in our league are really well coached, have great athletes, great student athletes on the team, and it's a challenge. So I think you just try to take it day by day. If you start looking, I think it's kind of like life, right? If you start looking too far ahead, what's the saying? Like you eat an elephant one bite at a time, right? If you look at the elephant and try to eat it whole, it's going to be a challenge. But so that's kind of what we do here. We try to take it one bite at a time and move on from last night's win. We're excited about that, but what got today, got through practice, and looking forward for the challenge tomorrow for sure.
Oh, fantastic. Another coach, Misha, you've been here, I think, about 12 years, and you've been the head women's coach since 2018. You also played here to great acclaim as an Eagle prior to coaching. Also, by the way, likely the smartest person in the room, academic honors list, all 4 years at St. Pius, and, just a degree in psychology here from Emory. What value to place on education, and what's your advice to players on how to balance athletics and academics?
Yeah, I think, coming from Pius to Emory, there was always the balance of both of academics and athletics. And for the academic piece, it separates you for sure, separates you for opportunities that are going to become available for you, whether that's in athletics or it's off the field, off the court. And, when you're coming to places like an Emory or Pius, like those opportunities are going to be endless. And so, that's how I was raised from my parents, is that, you can have both. I came from a big sports background family as well, but we were always going to get it done in the classroom too. And so I can't emphasize it enough that, take your studies seriously. And I had to learn that later on when I was at Immaculate Mary. I was in elementary school, ball was life, until I got to middle school, and I had a buddy that was like, hey, if you take your academics seriously, that can help you out in sports. And that's literally when I turned it around and started paying closer attention to my academics. But it just opens up so many doors for you.
Fantastic. Hey, Mac, if you don't mind, instead of me asking you a question, I'd love for your listeners to hear about your time at the University of Florida. Can you start with the time you arrived as a freshman and what led you to even want to become a team manager?
Yeah, so I grew up a Florida fan. I'm from Fort Lauderdale. I've had family members that have gone to Florida, so it was always on my radar that going to Florida was something I was interested in. At Pius, I wanted to play basketball, and I had some Division III opportunities. In the end, I decided that Florida was the best path, and I still wanted to be involved in basketball in some capacity. So Coach Parr, I still call him President Parr now, I guess.
I know. I can't stop myself.
He reached out down there, and it was able to work out where I could become a part of the program as a manager, and that was Coach Billy Donovan's last year at the University of Florida, which was very cool to me as a kid growing up, watching him, someone that I thought and idolized in the basketball world. So as a freshman, I went in, I would help out in practice, playing-wise, while he was there. And then, of course, he moved on to the NBA after my freshman year. And Coach Mike White came in, who's now the head coach at the University of Georgia, actually. And as I continued to help out in practice while doing my managerial duties, he eventually added me to the team as a walk-on, and then my senior year awarded me a full scholarship, which was cool. And by no means, I was definitely the 13th scholarship on that team, but it was awesome, and I can't thank him enough. And by that point, I had learned that I maybe want to get into coaching, and having that, I think, really helped my journey, and having him help me in that way.
That is phenomenal. Wow, I love that story. Not one that everyone can take, but it's really cool. Hey, Liam, it's your second year here at Emory. And listeners, this is not just any team. The Eagles have been ranked number one, as Coach said, in Division III team in the country as recently as a week ago. And they're consistently amongst the top squads in the country. What's it like to be part of this team? I imagine there's a lot of hard work before it can be all fun and games.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of hard work that gets involved, but it's overall an amazing experience. We have great coaching staff, led by Coach Z, of course, and we have a great senior class that leads us, very talented players. And just being a part of this program has taught me a lot about myself and getting along with the team, hard work, balancing with school too, because that was a big adjustment. Obviously, Pius is really good in academics, but Emory takes it to another level for sure. So I had to adjust to that. But being a part of this team has been great because you're working all the time. You're around the guys 24/7, honestly. Like, I'm with the guys all the time, off the court and on the court, and we just work very hard every day at practice. We're competing. Everyone's got that competitive attitude, competitive edge. They want to get better, push each other to get better, and I think it really helps us a lot.
And speaking of success, Liam, let me stay with you. Your old mates at St. Pius are 25-0 for the first time in season. Have you been able to keep up with them at all? Do you have any mates on the team that you keep up with, and how have you seen their season gone this year?
Yeah, definitely. I actually just went to the Marist game. Coach Mack was there too. I brought one of my teammates, Krause. So we watched them, and that was awesome because they absolutely pack it out. It's amazing, yeah. And then I keep up with a couple of the guys for sure. Like DeMarley, close with Harris too, and like Jack Randa, a bunch of the guys on the team. Yeah. So
yeah, some of the seniors that you mentioned there, amazing team. Yeah. Hopefully, take it to another level in our first state title. We've been close twice in the recent years and came up short in the final game. Yeah, Eamonn, Kenah, thank you for joining us so much. We've got all roads lead to Pi High kind of Pius pod going on, and I just wanted your thoughts on some of the thoughts on our basketball program here. If you could, what do you remember most fondly about your time as a Golden Lion?
There's a lot. I would say the main thing is just how close I got with my teammates. I think, the group of guys on our team, especially my year, but also, years ahead of me and behind me, I think, are going to be friends for life. And just how close we got every day at practice in the weight room, stuff like that, just spending time together, quality time together. And then, I think second would just be the tight-knit community, around basketball, the culture at Pius. If you just walk into the gym when a game's going on, just see how many people are there, just how many people truly care about the program, is always going to mean a lot to me. So,
Jason, your 17th season at Emory, And of course, I don't know if you know this, listeners, but he's the most winningest coach in the history of Emory, by the way.
That's what happens when you're there for so long.
Oh, I see it.
become that person.
It's not about averages, it's about quantity. You've been involved St. Pius through your children, maybe over a decade now. Both your children are amazing athletes. They play in college as we speak. Tell me what attracted you to St. Pius, either academically, athletically, spiritually speaking?
All of the above, honestly, all of the above. But honestly, what it was the people. Obviously, academically, we were looking for. My kids were very, they're academically minded, and athletically, they wanted to play their sports, and we knew the reputation of Pius. And then spiritually, being Catholic, and we wanted that base. Sometimes, just being around other believers and other Catholic in that Catholic environment for school was something important, especially to my wife and to me as well and our kids. So all that, but honestly, is the people. I knew Coach Parr. I coached against him when he played at Birmingham Southern. Honestly, that's makes me feel really old. But Aaron, so I knew Aaron and knew a lot about St. Pius. Obviously, Misha, I knew Misha since she was a player here, and just been around Pius people. And when that opportunity presented itself, we actually talked to our children and say, hey, what do you guys feel? Like we gave them the choice, and they made a really well thought out decision. But it's the people that really made the difference. Like talking to the people, talking to alums, talking to the current students, talking to the people who work at Pius. There's just such a pride there, and I think when you have I like being around groups that they care about others, they trust each other, they're committed to what we're doing, and that Pius felt like that place. So it's a really long answer, but it's the people that really drew us, and of course, Tracy's still there, right?
Yes, yes.
Tracy's still there, and
every day.
And she gets up, puts her Pius stuff on, goes to work. She loves it, and my kids. Trevor still has a Pius license plate on his car, and Taylor is great friends with a bunch of volleyball girls from Pius. So
right.
It's just a really neat community, and something that we're really happy that our kids got to experience.
Misha, how about you? I know Jason was there talking about the plaudits of Pi High, but what's your favorite memory from your time there? What will you take away?
Yeah, I mean, of course, the state championship, and it was over Marist, so can't get much
You're
better
kidding.
than that.
That's the best.
So you can't get much better than that. I think it's after Duke UNC, which is today. I think it's the second best rivalry. Yes, and go Duke in that regard. But the state championship. But I think just like there's so much pride at Pius, and like there's a reason it's one of the core values of our program here for me as a coach. But there's pride in everything. I still remember the cheers. Like I remember the football games. I've seen, it's packed out games. And I'm like, that's how it was when I was there. For girls and boys, and that's really important. Obviously working in women's and girls sports, like sometimes it's the same. And we were obviously very good when I was there. And I mean, the games were just as packed. And so to see that continue, to see that level of excellence continue is great. But it's just the pride and everything. Like, everyone was proud to wear their Pius sweatshirt or their Letterman jacket around. And that's something, I had to explain to my players, they're like, a Letterman jacket? I was like, yeah, when you got that Letterman jacket, it was, you're serious on campus. And you got your state championship patches and your senior pins and captain's pins. Like, there's just a pride in everything that you did. And people would have thought Pius was a college. With how proud people are of it. So just the memories, the pep rallies, I still remember the football games, the basketball games, but there's just such a great pride around the school. You can't take that for granted.
I totally agree. And let me tell you, one of my missions is to continue to raise the profile of female sports at St. Pius, and we're doing that. I feel it in my heart. I hope, if you don't mind, I'll stay with you. When you were getting out of high school, you didn't have that many choices as a young lady might have today, like the WNBA, maybe 8-10 teams. Now it's blown up and everybody's playing. Sure. Flag football is crazy now for the ladies. It's like the new pickleball. How do you see the rise of sports from the time you were started out and now?
Yeah, I think people, media help. Social media is a big thing, and it's always been there. I've played a lot of games, coached a lot. There's still not many teams I've played and coached against that would beat my high school team. Like,
right.
That's how dominant we were. And, when I was at Pius, a lot of times people come into college and like, oh, I was the best player on my high school team. And it's like, my position was 6'6" and playing at Tennessee for Pat Summitt. So, no, I was not. And so, just
Kelly Kane is her name, is that right?
Okay. No, she just went into the Hall of Fame, rightfully so. So, it's just knowing that level of basketball has been there, and it's got even higher. Now, days, a girl dunking is not a big deal anymore.
Yeah.
Because that's just the level of athlete that's there. So, it's great seeing the exposure. It's all about exposure. Now, it's out there, and so now people know, and now people are, putting their money where their mouth is, or where their eyes are, so I should say, and they're funding it, and they're seeing the rewards and the benefits that comes from that.
I agree. Just tune in. You're not going to turn away. You'll be hooked forever. I love it. Mac, and I didn't know you that well, but my lasting memory of you has nothing to do with basketball. It's seeing you with a font on the sideline reporter at our football games. Am I remembering that right? Yeah. Oh, that's incredible. We want to get that ESPX network back to the level it was then. Anyway, what about the same thing I asked Misha? What would you take away from your memories at Pius?
Yeah, it's, going back, Liam mentioned the Marist game the other day, and I think it's a good kind of segue is that I walked back in that gym and I saw 20 people from my past that I probably hadn't seen in 8 years, and it was like we'd seen each other last week for lunch or something. It's just back what Coach Z said, it's the people. My senior class, we had 8 seniors on our basketball team. We were all super close. We did everything together. And then when you like those lasting relationships where you can go a year or 2 or 3, through college, whatever, and come back and feel like you never missed a beat when you walk back through the doors, and everyone's welcoming. Or if you meet a Pius alum that you didn't know at all, you have that instant connection. It just kind of feels like a family place. That's kind of always what stood out to me. And then the opportunities to do different things you're interested in. You mentioned the sideline reporting. I played football for 2 years. I wanted to focus on basketball, but still wanted to be involved. And, Pius found a way to let you focus on what you were interested in.
That's great.
On and off the court. So I think the people is number one, but then number two, allowing you to chase what you're interested in was a big part for me.
And how easy was it to come back? I know you've been coaching and kind of working your way through after you left Florida to make it back to Atlanta. Was that a great opportunity?
It was. I always tell people I was in Nebraska the past 3 years. I never thought I'd visit Nebraska, let alone live there for 3 years. But in a crazy world, we always say the basketball world is so small.
Right.
My sisters grew up playing with Coach Misha and. At Nebraska Wesleyan, we made it to the Elite Eight, and the kid on the team we were playing was a Pius alum, and Blake Wilson. And after the game, they wanted to come talk and have that experience. But it was a crazy trip. But and then even when I reached out, I had no idea Coach Z's kids went to Pius, and there was a connection there. I just blindly
all roads
to Coach Parr, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I know Coach Z. Great. His wife works here, and his kids went here, and it's kind of all connected back there." So throughout my journey going to Indiana, Nebraska, now back to Atlanta, there's always been some sort of connection back to Pius. Maybe not consistently, but a game here playing against another player, or by the time this opportunity opened up, having that connection. So all roads, whether it's consistently or like I said, a year or 2 later, it's still the same strength of connection, even though it's not maybe as much.
Right. It may be a windy road, it may be uphill road, but now you're here. Liam, same question. I hope you have the sharpest mind because it's only been a couple years. So, what's your favorite memory from your Pius time?
My favorite memory is probably, like everyone else said, like the people there. My senior year was pretty special because I ended up tearing my ACL my junior year at the end of it, so I wasn't able to play basketball my senior year. But still being surrounded by like the people I love, the people I'm friends with, the people I see every day, and like feeling the love from them was very special, especially on my senior night, with 2 of my teammates, we're all seniors, and being able to feel like the love and the culture in the gym, everyone supporting you, like through the hard times and whatnot. I'd say is my favorite memory, especially that night. Also, Elite Eight run my junior year, that was pretty special. That was fun. Good team. But yeah, it's people.
Yeah, well, I hear you. Let me go back around the horn and we'll finish up here. Well, Eamonn, tell me about the life as a college athlete. I bet it's a lot of shift from what it was when you were walking the halls here at Pi High. How are you able to balance the academics? You're not at any old school either. No offense to other schools, but that's not you're at a pretty good academic school, and then also a great basketball team. How do you balance both?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, as a freshman, it was an adjustment. Obviously, being at a school like the University of Chicago, classes aren't super easy. So, I would say just for me, it's creating a to-do list every day. Like this is what I need to get done today in the classroom. Make sure I get those things done. Um, before looking at what I might have basketball wise. Obviously throughout the day, spending time. I spend a lot of time in the weight room. I spend a lot of time, getting extra shots up, and then obviously 2 to 3 hours for practice every day. So just getting up in the morning, understanding what I have on my plate in terms of school, and understanding my priorities for that day, and then kind of just taking it one day at a time, in terms of balance and stuff. And then obviously we travel around the country, for conference games. We're flying around in New York, Atlanta, and stuff like that. So obviously it's tough on the road to have a lot of time to get some work done, but it's going in the lobby in the hotel and you know 2 hours a night trying to get some stuff done before getting some rest before the game the next day.
Yeah, it sounds like time management must be key.
Yeah.
What maybe that's one of the things I'll ask for those few listeners out there that may be seniors in high school, juniors in high school, even earlier than that. What advice might you give them if they want to come to the next level? Is there anything that surprised you, or anything that you think they must have?
I mean, I think first of all, obviously it's getting your priorities straight. And when you're younger in high school, I give my parents a lot of credit for saying school always comes before basketball. That's going to open up doors. Obviously, they play off each other. Like I'm not sure I'd be able to be at such a good school without you know being a basketball player. But obviously, creating good habits early. And then I think more importantly is just having fun with the game. I remember my senior year, I was getting recruited by a bunch of different schools and starting to get stressed out about where I might end up.
Mm.
And I think it's easy to put a lot of pressure on yourself, when you have high goals of worrying about your future, and kind of forgetting to enjoy the time with your friends, and just enjoying going out and competing. So I think and just most importantly is just remembering to just love the game and going out and I'm gonna take it one step at a time, enjoy this moment, and win this game, and then everything else should kind of take care of itself.
Oh, I love that. I love that answer. That's very smart, because I know, and you've seen probably some peers that have been worked so hard either by themselves or by their parents that they just don't like playing anymore.
Oh yeah.
It certainly happens in different sports, and including basketball. Misha and Jason, I'm sorry, you're going to run out of answers here. These guys are so smart; they're taking care of it. But if you could add anything to that, perhaps it's different from a female perspective, recruiting female athletes these days. What's that like?
Yeah, I think that Liam and Matt hit it on the head. Do your homework for sure, research. There's no question you can't ask. I think sometimes we can be nervous about can I ask a coach that, or an administrator, and it's the next 4 years of your life, so you can definitely ask questions. But intangible things, I think you have to celebrate your successes and learn from your failures. I think sometimes college or student athletes, a lot of times this is the first time they've truly failed. Where sometimes you experience that adversity, of course, in high school at the next
Very
level,
good point.
but there's a time where academically you may have never failed, and then you get to a top 25 university like Emory, maybe you get your first B, maybe you get your first C, okay, but learn from it. And then when you do get that A, or you do excel on the court, celebrate that, because I think sometimes we beat ourselves up, and then we don't appreciate the success when it comes. But it's okay to fail. Have a good support system around, and you'll be all right.
That's great. I was just talking to Coach Cloyd at St. Pius, and he said it's 25-0, and I was trying to pick him up and lift him you celebrate it. He's like, you know what? We have to celebrate this. It's never been done. It's awesome, but we're going to take one day and celebrate, and then we're not done. You can't be done. You can't rest on your laurels, but at the same time, please Please celebrate your successes. Coach, all right, what's left to say? So what would you give any advice? I'd listen to you for anything, Coach.
Well, I'd say this, maybe a little different. I think you got to find your passion. I think you got to really find your passion for what you like to do, and not what somebody tells me that you should do, or somebody in my family thinks I should do this, or somebody in my friend group thinks like. But what are you really passionate for? Like, hopefully you're passionate for the Lord, right, in your Catholic faith, and hopefully you're passionate for, now, I can be passionate for basketball, but if I'm a student at Emory, I better be passionate for the classroom too, right?
Right.
But I think when you find your passion, and that's what I hope for my kids, and that's what I hope for my players, like in life, that they find their passion, right?
Right.
It's, I've never felt like I've gone to work a day in my life, and we work really hard. And
right.
I don't ever feel like I've gone to work. Like I'm going into the gym, or I'm going to show film to guys, or I'm going to talk to our staff, or I'm going to see Misha, or I'm going to, and like when you find your passion, it's easy to get up out of bed, right? It's not easy. It's not easy because we get beat, and that's hard. And like Misha said, I fail, and but when you find your passion, there's something that drives you, and I think it takes mature. As you're maturing, don't get anxious about that.
Yeah.
But really take your time to think, what am I passionate about? And ask yourself, not what somebody thinks I should be passionate about, but what am I passionate about? And then how can I ingrain that into my life, right? And
right.
And I think I've been fortunate that I've got to do this for, like you said, I think 18 years here or whatever, a long time, and I'm very passionate about it. But I just hope like my children find that in their lives, right? Like you hope your children be successful and make money or be successful in their job or whatever that may be. But I just hope they find that passion, right? The passion for what they're passionate about, and they're able to use that, right?
Right. Well, I know I'll see some passion tomorrow from you, I hope, at the game. Tell me about last week. What must have been a tough week. You guys are number one, and you go in and you struggle on the road. How do you wake up the next morning and say, this is not my working job?
Yeah, well, that's
that's tough.
We don't really talk about fun, right? Like fun, you can have fun doing a lot of things. You can have fun going hanging out and having dinner with the five of us. We go have fun, right?
Yeah.
But we talk about enjoying the journey,
right?
And enjoying it, because you can't have fun losing at Walsh and then at Chicago and how we did, and they're not playing great, but you can enjoy like the process of getting better. And I thought this week, our guys, I really enjoyed this week. It was really hard. We flew back from Chicago and we were number one in the country. We'd lost one game all year. We lost 2 games in 2 days. Yeah. And when you get back on a plane and you get back and the guys that you're coaching come back on Monday and they're willing to listen, and they have a passion for getting better, and they have a passion for, and then that feeds what we do. And so I think more than that is like you just enjoy that process of trying to get better, and whether it be as a student or as a basketball player, as a coach, as a brother, as a husband, as a wife. Hey, there's this process in trying to get better. You can't enjoy failure. You can't have fun when you lose ever. Like that's not fun.
Right.
But you can enjoy the process of trying to get better and improving, competing. Yeah. So that's what we try to look at it as. It's you have to look at it that way, because we're going to lose some games, right?
I'm going to have to take that into my everyday work life as well. Get up out of the bed and enjoy the journey. Thank you all so much for joining. I know you got a busy weekend. I wish you the best. If there's anything else I've left out, would anybody like to add anything? Have I missed a good question? You guys all good?
Hi till I die.
There you go. It's a good way to end it.
Misha, can you say that one more time?
We used to say it a lot when we were there, but pie high till I die.
Thank you. That's Misha Jackson right there saying, pie high till I die. Remember, I'm trying to bring back pie high. Pie high's coming back. There's 2 sweatshirts in the Roar store that say pie high. I'm going to double that by the time the year's over. All right, my friends. Thank you so much. That was so cool. I really appreciate it.